Welcome to today's Clear-Sighted Career webinar titled Company, Industry, and Market Research, Taking It to the Next Level. If you're preparing for a job search or an interview, perhaps a job change or promotion, then this webinar is for you. We're going to show you various resources, both online and in person, that you can tap. I'm Sharon Kane. I serve as Director of Professional and Academic Programs in the Alumni Association, and I'm joined today by our expert and friend, Steve Hayes. Steve is the Entrepreneurial Spirit Endowed Business Librarian at the Mahaffey Business Library that's in the Mendoza College of Business. Steve's going to give us a benefit of his expertise in identifying high-quality resources and giving us first-hand experience into how they work. And today's webinar will also include several tips and tricks of the trade. As we get going today, I encourage you to submit your questions using the Q&A section on your screen. Type them in, and we will address as many as we can in today's session. If our number of questions exceeds our time, then we will answer your email questions offline, and be sure and include your email address to facilitate that process. As a reminder, we're recording today's webinar. It'll be posted to the My Notre Dame website under Career and Professional Services, which is under Connect, and you'll find it on the Multimedia Resources page. As I shared with you today, we have our expert in Steve Hayes. Steve joined the university in 1974 as a reference librarian. He was then appointed to the Business Services Librarian and opened the Mahaffey Business Information Center that's within the Mendoza College of Business. He's a wonderful colleague. He certainly advocates for career resources and for alumni support, as well as students and faculty and staff. So thank you, Steve. Appreciate you joining us today, and let's get started.
Sounds good. Welcome, everybody. It's a typical South Bend gray day here. Hopefully everyone is doing well. We're going to try and cover accessing company, industry, and market information that may be useful for a variety of purposes that you're looking at. I'm going to share some cost-free resources, as well as, unfortunately, for them that are going to cost you a little bit of money. I'm going to demonstrate a few useful internet sites, and then we'll field questions from you towards the end of the session here. This is a outline to indicate the use of information. According to a former vice president, everything is available for free on the internet. We know that's not true. So what this particular graph or chart shows you is that we all want free, easy, and good information. Unfortunately, you can only have two of the three. So what that means is, if you want free and easy, you're really going to be looking at the web. However, it may not necessarily be good or quality information that you really want to trust. So be aware of that, and we'll talk about that again later on. If you want free and good, well, you're talking about a library. We purchase materials, public library, et cetera, and we'll talk about that. We know it's good. We're making it available to you because you're a patron of the library. And of course, then there's the one that I'm in the business school. We're here to make money, and that is easy and good, and those are the paid resources. We know it's going to be high quality. We know it's going to be easy because you're paying someone else to do this for you. So Sharon's going to be advancing slides through here, but she's real good at this, so it's like, okay, we'll tandem it here. The first thing I have to tell you is, okay, look for a library. Here are some sources. So, for example, what I have up on the screen here is Inspire. This is the virtual library that is made available by the state of Indiana to anyone who is a resident of the state. So, how do you get access to this? In Indiana, you go ahead and click on the Inspire. They will make you or require you to register, and once you have that, they will send you a postcard in the mail that kind of validates and verifies that you're a member of resident of the state. You'll notice here that there are other states who have similar virtual libraries. I would recommend that you take a look at your state and register. Because when we get into this, for example, here's a source for statistics. Okay, and that's not what I want. I want information. Here's a list of high-quality content that the state of Indiana is buying. And I would draw your attention, for example, if you're lucky enough to be in the state of Indiana here, Business Source Premier. This is a high-quality database that is purchased by the state of Indiana, and it has a variety of information within it, including all the topics that we're kind of covering today. So you want to look for that statewide system and then get access to it. The next one that I mentioned is, okay, let's get you into a public library. When I talk about a public library, we tend to think of public libraries as having a great deal of collection of fiction, videos, audio books, children's books, etc. But many public libraries in the United States are really true research libraries. The one that I like to use most often is the Chicago Public Library. Its goal and purpose and mission is to help the residents of Chicago, including all the entrepreneurs, business people, etc. that are there. So what I did is I went to the Chicago Public website and into their FAQs. And you'll notice one of here is, can I get a library card if I don't live in Chicago? The answer is yes. So you can acquire access to a library that is close to you. Perhaps you work near it. But it will get you, again, access to that high-quality content in that it serves the public or it serves the constituencies that are housed around it. University libraries. Even here at Notre Dame, when we are a private university, but we do welcome the public in. In our contracts, we write in for, quote, walk-ins. That allows us legally to provide services to anyone who literally physically appears within the walls of the library. What I'm recommending here is that you find your closest publicly funded university. For example, Purdue, Indiana University, Ball State here in Indiana. Find the publicly funded universities in your state and then make contact with them. They usually will write into many of their products walk-in agreements so that if you literally travel to the library, you should be able to have access to that kind of content. The fourth one I mentioned here is the U.S. Federal Depository Library System. This is about 1,300 libraries that are located all across the United States, and they are a repository for federal government information, meaning this information was funded by taxpayer dollars and made freely available to any resident of the United States. Notre Dame happens to have 2 depositories on its campus that serves the congressional district here. One is in the Hesburgh Libraries and one is in the Law Library. What's nice about this is by law, they must allow you access to the Federal Depository Library. This is your entree into the library. These are also managed by professional librarians who know how to get company, business, and market information that is available from the federal government. It also gets you in the door to the library, and they will often walk you into the other parts of the library so that you can use their resources too. So these will help you get access to libraries which provide you with the highest quality of information that you've got. Okay, so now let's see what might be available via the web. Hopefully these are cost-free and provide quality information. So for example, we have Hoovers. Unfortunately, and let me bounce back here, I missed it. There is a link within that Federal Depository Library so that if you click on your state, it will literally tell you all the depositories within the state. So back to Hoovers. Hoovers used to provide a lot of information free of charge. Unfortunately, now they are very limited in terms of what they are making available. But what is nice about it is it tends to be low-cost information. So that if you wanted to look at the Ford Motor Company report, They will give you a little information here, the address, the website, etc., but you can request the report. It tends to be, for example, this one I believe is $69. It might be affordable for you. I haven't really found a nice substitute for what we used to have within Hoovers. But I'm in the business school. Hoovers is making money. Bravo. Another option is to look at the Security and Exchange Commission. Any publicly traded company needs to file with the SEC. In those filings, for example, the 10Ks and 10Qs are their annual reports or their quarterly reports, their income and balance sheet statements, their footnotes, etc. So this is a good way to get up to speed on the company, but remember that you're looking at the numbers. You're looking at their filings. It's not going to be a nice narrative telling you what it is they're looking, what they're doing, etc. Except sometimes, on acquisitions, etc. So you'll notice there's a fast search over here. I put in F for Ford Motor Company since I come from Detroit. If I click on search, I then see here are the available documents that you can literally look at. These are, by law, have to be accurate. So this is information that is trusted. It's coming from a trusted source. So another key point that you want to look at is Security and Exchange Commission is a good one. I mentioned the Secretary of State. That is within each state, or there may be in some states a comparable agency. This is where you could go to find the filings for a company. It tends to be the Articles of Incorporation. You will find out who the officers are. You may get 1 or 2 years of sales information, but it's pretty bare bones. But that may give you some background information that will prove useful for you. I always recommend that you go to the company website, and many of these sources, including Hoovers, will point you to the website. And when I'm there, I want to look for news for investors or an investor relations tab. I want to look at their press releases, this type of thing. Keep in mind, again, doing our due diligence as to accuracy, there is no legal requirement for accuracy on a company's website. So you always want to make sure that you assess the quality of the information, the accuracy of the information, etc. Keep in mind the press releases are what the company wants you to know, and they may put a positive spin on it. But it is a great way to get up to speed on a company and what the company says they're about, etc. In the investor relations, it's great because this is what they usually present to their investors. So you may find trends and directions, successes, failures, that type of thing, PowerPoint slides, or even recordings of the meeting. Better Business Bureau. Every state or region has a Better Business Bureau. It's good for assessing the reputation of the company that you're looking at. If there's nothing here, then you know there really haven't been any filings, complaints, etc. It's not going to give you much information about the company itself other than to begin to kind of give you a feel for its reputation. If it's listed here a lot, well, you want to read some of those complaints and see how they've answered them and go that way. For industry, I've moved on, and we're looking at the U.S. government. The Census Bureau is the statistics collector for the United States. It collects statistics on any number of things. I have zeroed in on industry, and what I did here was I went to the industry portal, and at the Census Bureau site, there's a nice search this box here, or there is a topic pull down that you can look at the economy, and they're talking about the industry statistics portal. So I did that. I typed in fast food, and you get the various codes that are classified dealing with fast foods. And of course, we use the term fast foods, but this is government. They're limited service restaurants. So if you click on that particular link, you get a feel for it. This is the products within the Census Bureau that will give you a feel for what does the limited service restaurant industry look like. Again, this tends to be by the numbers, but once in a while you'll find a nice one-off narrative report that the company will give, that the Census Bureau will give you a feel for what the industry is like. Keep in mind the Census Bureau is very, very concerned by law with privacy, which means you will find no information in here that can be identified down to a company. So the Census Bureau really can't help you finding information about Ford Motor, but they can help you find information dealing with the automotive industry, numbers, etc. Okay? Associations are a great source of information. Some are very, very liberal in giving you lots of information. Some are rather stingy. They want you to join. I have queued up an association, the Outdoor Industry Association, which is very good at giving actual concrete information. And so it's a good demonstration of this is the wealth of content that you can get into here. So for example, if we look at the consumer view and click on it, we can take a look at their content as to what the consumer view will actually be. There's other research here, so that if I look at sales and consumer trends, I can go down here and I can get their monthly trend report and actually read the trend report for the outdoor industry. This would help you be prepared for that interview in that you now have some background as to what's currently going on and being talked about with the industry. So associations are very, very important resources to take a look at. Market research. Market research, unfortunately, is the most difficult research to find without incurring costs. Our contracts here at the university are very tight. We can't even use walk-ins for some of these research. So there's not a lot out there on the open web that's going to give you high quality. You notice that the industry association, this may be as close to market research as you're going to get. But I have listed what we call an aggregator. So for example, marketresearch.com, I search for the fast food industry, and you can see I can get reports about Thailand, New Zealand fast food in the United States, but notice the costs associated with it. It may be, probably is, a little prohibitive, $900 for the report, maybe more than you're willing to pay for a job interview. But unfortunately, this is the what the information landscape looks like for market research. One source that I did put onto here is Reportlinker. Reportlinker combs the web, and it literally scoops off some content and makes it publicly available. In preparing for this particular session, I noticed and went in and did some outdoor, and yes, some of the information that was on the Outdoor Association webpage found its way into the Reportlinker. So you're going to have actual content in here that you can read and use, but also they put in here reports that you can buy. So it's kind of the one-stop where some is free, they dangle that bait in front of you, and you can get what you can, but they also give you an opportunity to buy content. Some of the market research firms will allow you to buy it by the slice, meaning, you know, I only want this chapter, that will sell you that. I always take a look at the table of contents. The table of contents may give you some information that will be leading and allow you to draw some conclusions and make some assumptions. So searching the web, I happen to like Bing. Most people are now Google experts. You can search the web and see what kind of content that you find. Keep in mind, just because it's available on the web doesn't necessarily mean it's high quality information that we want to be using. It is one of those where you always want to do your due diligence. Here at the university, we are teaching our students to assess information. Who produced it? What's their reputation? Who is the individual? Do I really want something that's put up by Steve Hayes, or do I want an expert professor of a certain field doing it instead? How current is it? Is this years old? I shared with Sharon a situation where someone in the press used an old press release of a bankruptcy of an airline, published it as if it was new. That airline stock took a dive, and then they found out that, oh, that press release was 10 years old. The reporter didn't do their due diligence. So we want to keep that in mind when you're searching the web. So you can go ahead and submit some questions if you like, and I'll be glad to undertake them. Meanwhile, I think we want to go on. Sharon put together a nice chart. Well, let me summarize here. So be resourceful. I'm strongly encouraging you to make a connection with a library, either the virtual library produced by a state, your closest public library, your university library, but also keep in mind that the federal depository libraries are here to help any resident. Do your due diligence. Just because it looks pretty, it came up on the web, you may not necessarily want to depend upon it. I always tend to want to double check and see if I can confirm that with a secondary source. Talk with people. Even if you can't make it to the library, call their reference desk, call the depository library, have a conversation indicating this is what I'm looking for, how could you potentially help me, is there a way of getting connected into your library, how do I get a card, that type of information.
We do have a few questions, Steve, so why don't we pause for a moment and take those. Anthony is asking about the Department of Labor and do they have any reports. I think he's asking in particular the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Correct. It's a rare agency of the federal government that does not have content that is useful and intended to be made publicly available to the benefit of the residents of the United States. Obviously, Sharon is correct. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is the statistical agency within the Department of Labor. There are other agencies within there that may carve out a different turf in terms of their expertise. If you make contact with one person at labor, always end the conversation with, is there a better individual that I should be talking to, because they tend to know each other and will pass you to the more on-point agency that really handles the type of question you're looking for.
Great. Kevin is saying that Bloomberg has been a great resource of data and information for him, and he was under the understanding that the BIC, the Business Information Center, has a few terminals. He's wondering in particular as an alum what access he might have. And that's a great question for everyone, just in general and specific to Bloomberg.
It is. Specifically what you ask for here is remote access into the terminals. That is prohibited by contract. We can't even do it on campus. So I can't remote in from my office to a Bloomberg terminal. So that's prohibited. The contract is written sufficiently vague in such a way that it will allow walk-ins. So you can come to what we now call the Mahaffey, the formerly known as the BIC, and use the Bloomberg terminals, Capital IQ, and other finance-based relationships. Keep in mind that you're liable to find your large public library, such as Chicago Public, has access to Bloomberg terminals. They can contract through a similar program that we have and get the terminals based there. They're actually terminal-based, so it's not something we can web into or get to that particular way.
Great. Terry's asking, how much time is too much time to invest in company research for a basic first interview? It can be overwhelming. Do you have any guideposts or guidelines for that, Steve?
I have two different ones. First of all, when you're doing some of your research, pick a time here on campus because they're so close to a professional librarian. We have like a 10-minute rule. If after 10 minutes you're really not finding something, talk with one of us and we'll put you into a better situation. I tend to search for perhaps 20 minutes before I would double check with someone to make sure I'm doing something correctly. And so, Terry, you may want to talk to your closest librarian and say, this is what I'm looking for, this is how I'm searching, and go that particular way. I would expend no more than 45 minutes preparing for industry for a basic interview about, so what does the broad picture look like for the industry in which the company I'm interviewing with goes into.
And your recommendation, Steve, for company research in order of resources, I know you had started with Hoovers, which has shifted really more for a fee, You have to pay for their information, but you get some basic information on competitors and the company through Hoovers.
Correct.
Next, company website with the investor relations.
Because you're all alums, the next place I would go to would be Business Insight Essentials on the alum homepage. I mean, we've paid for that and making it available. It's high quality. It's vetted very well. Next, indeed, I would go to the company webpage to see what kind of information is available there. And then after that, I would do some free text searching. There's something called Google Scholar. You might go into that. It tends to be a little higher quality content than just general Google. Much of it is available with a click and made available via the web, so you can get it full text. That would probably be the best. But you really, for company quality information, you need to connect with the library because it's just not out there other than the company website itself.
Right. And just to, you referenced Business Insights Essentials that is available for free to Notre Dame alumni through a partnership with the Hesburgh Libraries, Mendoza, and the Alumni Association. You will find it on my.nd.edu under Connect, Career and Professional Services, and I believe it's on the Career Advising page. There's a link straight through to Business Insights Essentials. Very powerful, dynamic database. We also did a webinar with Steve last month on that, and that is recorded and found on my.nd.edu on the Multimedia Resources page. Joseph is asking, can alumni use the research facilities of your organization, perhaps for a fee, to sort market research info? If so, how do we contact the appropriate people?
The question is some yes, some no. Certainly you can come into our organization. We do not charge for it. We don't have a borrowing card that you can purchase. We did decades ago, but we don't anymore. But there is market research that we can point you into that has the clause that would allow not currently enrolled students, faculty, or staff to use them. On the Mahaffey website, and the URL is very easy. It is library.nd.edu/business. Or if you Google Mahaffey Business Library, we tend to be the first link. Up in the upper right-hand corner, you will see that there is a link to, can I show this, or is it not going to let me see that? Okay, let me get it this way. Okay, you'll notice right here is Ask a Business Librarian. If you click on that link, you'll get a form. Fill out the form, give us your name and contact information, and we'll give you a call or send you an email, particularly if you ask some detailed questions as to this is what I'm looking for and that type of thing. We always let people know that our primary clientele are students and the faculty currently at Notre Dame, but we work you into the queue as soon as we can.
Wonderful. So as an alum, they can reach out via the web, ask a business librarian, and Steve and his team will be responsive. As part of our program today, we also prepared a summary chart and did our best to give you the resource, whether it was company, industry, market, or some combination, what that resource focused on. We've shared links where appropriate, indicated if it's a free or fee resource. So this, I think, will help you going forward and serve as a reference. There are actually 2 pages of summary tables, so you're welcome to look at both of those, use those links, get familiar with these resources, and I think that Steve's done a really terrific job in helping us cut through so much information and identify those resources that are in our communities, such as libraries, in our states, and as well as other online resources. So I hope that this has been helpful and that you'll be able to use these tools immediately going forward in a way that distinguishes you in the workplace and in the marketplace. That certainly was our aim. So Steve, I want to thank you for joining us and sharing all this information and being kind of a thin slicer for us. I thank all of you who joined us today. Appreciate you taking time out of your workday for the Clear-Sighted Career. As I mentioned, a recording will be posted my.nd.edu under Connect, and the multimedia resources page that will be available to you shortly. And just to give you a preview, next month we will have on April 22nd, Boost Your LinkedIn Know-How. I will be leading that webinar for you, and we will be looking to cover not only profiles and what makes those stand out, but also some of the behind-the-scenes things like settings that sometimes we're not aware of, and then moving into networking. There are some LinkedIn tools that help with networking. So those three things will constitute the Boost Your LinkedIn Know-How. If you have any questions or require any services as an alum, please contact us at career@alumni.nd.edu. Thank you again.